everyone, so today I'm on a disused railway line, the former Great Northern Railway Derby friargate line between Derby and off towards Nottingham. It did continue on along what was then the Mickleover test track. I've done a video on that, I'll put a link at the end. And also we had Benley viaducts in that direction, around about 5 or 6 miles. So there used to be a viaduct down there, and this is the section which leads off towards Bredsall, Morley, and also forwards towards Benley viaduct. And straight away we get something, look, you just see there's a wall just there. I don't know how easily I can get you to, there's the edge of it there, look. Now that blue brick doesn't look old, but there used to be a station here, Derby Racecourse station. Hoping I'm going to find some nice old pictures of that, but it was because the racecourse, obviously, as the name suggests, used to be pretty much just here. So time for a quick look at the map. So that red line going from left to right is our Great Northern Railway's Derbyshire Staffordshire extension, the Friargate line. We've got Nottingham over here. We've got Nuttall and Kimberley up here. We looked at that in a recent video. Derby is all the way down here, and we've got Bredsall just here. Let's zoom in a little bit and look at the section that we're looking at today. So Derby down at the bottom left hand corner. Now you can see the yellow line, that is the current active Midland Railway, which goes north towards Chesterfield and Sheffield away from Derby. And the red line again is what we're following today. Derby Racecourse station was just about here, and we've got Bredsall station here, Morley Tunnel over here, and we'll go as far as Stanley just before West Hallam today. Here's a photograph I found of where the location of Derby Racecourse station was, and you can see the platform edge on the right hand side. Look, it's clear as day going all the way along there with the coping stones, and this working is heading towards Friargate station. If we have a look at Google Maps, you can see we are just here. That is where Racecourse station is. All that green land around, and the road snaking its way from left to right over where the track bed was, and Bredsall Viaduct went somewhere around about here where that unit is down the bottom. If we jump back to this map from 1914, you can see the road does not exist going across the top. You can see the Derby Canal, look, going from top to bottom and underneath Bredsall Viaduct, but also the platform for Derby Racecourse station on the right hand side. And this old aerial photograph, that's the Midland Railway going from top to bottom. You can see our Great Northern line going across the Midland line as it curves across up to the top right of the picture, where it would be crossing the Derby Canal, Bredsall Viaduct, and up to the Racecourse station. Now just before we approached Derby Racecourse station, there used to be Bredsall Viaduct, and I've got a couple of images here for you of Bredsall Viaduct. It was a beautiful looking brick arch structure with an iron lattice centrepiece, which I believe was the part where the Derby Canal once went under. Now the station did used to have a loading dock for visiting racehorses, paddocks for visiting racehorses too. There's even a pub, I believe, not far down there, which is still called the Paddock. Now that wall that we saw at the very beginning of here is still showing itself, look. Looks much older. Here we go, look. That's got to be remains of the old platform, hasn't it? Because there was only one. Evidence of ballast on the ground as well, look. So on that side, if you're familiar with the area, we've got that great big shopping centre. There's a Morrison's, McDonald's, Starbucks, all that kind of stuff. I think it's called the Meteor Complex. So we're going to push on now, and not far down here we'd get to Bredsall station, and I think there are some remains of that building there. So that wall is continuing on what we think is the old platform. I could just make it out through all these nettles. Plenty of birdsong in the trees up there. It looks like it stops around about there, because this is all like a soily mound just here now. But there's no evidence of anything sat up there, is there? No, not at all. So let's push on. I think the line is going to curve around a little bit to the right where we hit the former Bredsall station. So plenty of leftover ballast, look, on this embankment. It's quite a steep embankment, isn't it? Looks like we're about to start curving round. Yeah, lots of ballast all along. And the embankment on the opposite side is equally high. Something down there. The remains of something railway related just down there, look. Just like that, the embankment down has gone and it's now a hill. A bit like a cutting on that side, but we've still got a drop down on the left. The track bed seems to drop just here quite substantially as well, so somewhere it's been lowered intentionally, hasn't it? Be interested to see if we get further down towards the former Bredsall station, if it goes back up again and it's just the way the land has just naturally sunk or subsided down. Yeah, it comes down, look, levels off, and then goes back up again. So something's changed here, hasn't it, over the last few decades? Whether there's been a landslip at some point and it's gone down. Oh, those trees are very, very old though, aren't they? So it's not like land has just disappeared. So don't know, it certainly dips down, and there's no evidence that the track bed was on the right, which it wasn't, because that's just a hill. Curious, isn't it? Some remains here, look. So that looks like some sort of gate post maybe. What would that have been for? Can't really see anything that suggests brackets are attached to it. Now, if we go here, got an old gate, look. So there's another huge post. A white gate. So it's going to be some kind of foot crossing or old access road when there was horses. Because it goes down there, look, and then we've got some brickwork just here, which could well have been associated with a signal box. So look at this map from 1914. We can see just here where the signal box was, right at the start of the platform, and just opposite that you can see a little rectangular shaded area, and that is the remains of that other little building on the opposite side, and the gates and the track that went across. Station building is then predominantly where the platform was, and also notice cattle pens and what looks like an additional siding, which we'll get to look at in a little while. And here is the signal box, look, right at the base of the platform. Absolutely beautiful, isn't it, sat there? So this has been taken from that crossing where we saw the gates and the main station beyond that. And looking in the opposite direction, we've got a freight working coming from Derby, about to hit Bredsall station and on towards Nottingham. Few more bits and bobs just here, look. So the size of these foundations, probably something to do with storage or maybe toilet facilities for the nearby station for the workmen. There we go, on the approach to Bredsall station. It had 2 platforms and closed in 1962. Very quaint and short platform, sloped up just there, look. But it's not very long at all. Now the other one appears to be missing, or it's just demolished and buried amongst all that earth just there in the trees. Now the other end is just about here, look. So that's not going to be the original coping stone or concrete on there, isn't it? I think that's just been made short, and I believe the platform would have continued on much further. So we get to the beginning of the station building here, look. And just note all of the tiles on the floor just here. Now what could this room have been? Now there's no signs of any holes in the ground, so I can't see it being plumbed to suggest lavatories or anything such like that. I'm going to suggest this was some sort of outhouse, judging by the brickwork in the floor, and it has been bricked off on top. It's the outline of the station rather than the original top wall there, and it's like this all the way along. Potentially a doorway just here. I'll step back down, and I believe this was the general waiting room just here, this section right about here. Look at the old vent, look at that, probably made of iron, probably a few of them going across. So yeah, the waiting room was pretty much just here, and it does go on and on even more. There's more brickwork down here. There's a sign on this bit, look, ladies waiting room, so there's probably a ladies lavatory in there as well. and other conveniences for them. And another building just here, or the outline of one. Can't quite make out what that says. Ladies? Maybe toilets. Oh yeah, yeah. It's that one there, that's gentlemen, look. So they are, the lavatories just there. And thinking about what we've just been looking at, those foundations, you can see the station sign just off centre in this shot. And there's that little building just behind it, look, where we saw the bricks in the floor. And then the main waiting room area, the huge part of the station building. And then there are further building sections along the main station, which we'll get to go and have a look at in a moment. And this is what it looks like on the opposite platform, as if it's coming from Nottingham. And the nice small waiting room on the right on the platform, and also looks like platform staff too, maybe the station master. So yeah, round the back now. So curiously, so the ladies had their own waiting room just there, but then the ladies had their own toilets just there. So two separate rooms, or did it in fact join on originally? And the gentlemen's toilets are just there. Station access is behind, look, still got the gate posts coming up, so you can imagine anybody and everybody using the railway, even for freight, would have come through what gates were just on here, look. One there and one there. It's even got an old chain dangling off it, look. Some more brickwork just here, look, behind that post. So a separate, maybe a utility room just there. Let's get back up to the station. So ladies' toilets there, we're going to be respectful and not go in them, so we'll go in the gentlemen's instead. So this was the gentleman's lavatory waiting room, I suppose. Maybe it seems to be a bigger room than the ladies' one next door. Still at platform level, and around the outside and to the end of Bredsall station and its remains. This fine image shows the station in all its glory, looking in the direction of Derby. On the right hand side we've got the actual building, look, we've just been looking around the foundations. If we zoom in on that photograph some more, you can see it says gentlemen at the first door. There is a second door, which I believe that is the door to the ladies, but the gentleman's sign is probably obscuring the ladies' sign. And just behind that you've got ladies' waiting room and the general waiting room, and the ticket office behind. So away from the main station just there, this is curious, look at this. It looks like a separate platform or dock for freight, parcels, maybe cattle. And conveniently we've got some stone steps, look. So that means we've got to go down them. There we go. There's a few spiky things, but 4 steps down and we can get ourselves down here, look, which would be track bed level. Now it has been concreted off, is that? Yeah. So for whatever reason this is now a hard surface, but you can see the original blue brick and the coping stones on top, look, even clearer on that side. Look at the old pick marks in every single one. So this is wide enough, well, it seems wider than a single track, to be honest. You wouldn't have got 2 in here though, so it's interesting this, isn't it? I'm going to assume the fact there's steps there is maybe there was a track on this side that came in, because this side is higher. Look, if I show you that and then pan you around, that's lower. I'll keep the camera at the same level, look, and then turn you down, it's further down. So I'm going to say that is the side that was used for loading and unloading, and potentially this lower section down here and out the steps was for workers and other people manually loading and unloading on the opposite side. And this is where the track would have come in and terminated. It's kind of drainage marks or holes at the bottom, or maybe buffers could have been fitted to them somewhere. The track would have had to have stopped around about here where the buffers would have had to have been, but again, why it was tarmacked over I'm unsure. Cool, there's some big thorns down here, so I'm going to get myself out of here, back onto the track bed and push on towards Morley. And this is it from, as if it come off the track bed just there, look, track bed there, and it would have come this way in. Very overgrown, but you can see that wall, look, and the coping stones on top. The others have just gone below the greenery. Different coping on that. Look, it's concrete chunks on top of there, concrete blocks, and then it will stop just about here. I'm expecting it to slope up. Yes, indeed it does. Look, there we go. Yeah, so this was some kind of loading area, wasn't it? Lots and lots of ballast on the ground. Shadow out of the way, there we go. So Bredsall station, bid that farewell, and we'll push on towards Morley. So we do appear to be losing the original track bed. If I turn you around, look, we're going downhill. Now the track bed was definitely here. It's a little bit windy, apologies. So we've still got ballast, look. Yeah, there's a pure giveaway of what on earth is happening here. So up there, look, there's your track bed. We're not on it here, on this descent down. It's here. And it's going over there, look, on the embankment. So that's cleared that up much quicker than the last point that we saw where the track bed disappeared down. Quite a steep embankment up now, look, there's the summit just there. So that's your track bed there. So I'm assuming we're gonna go down here, and there's a road at the bottom, and then go back up. And there must have been a bridge. Maybe the bridge is still there, but I thought if the bridge is still there, we'd have been walking across it. So I'm expecting it just to be abutments and walls either side of the road. Yeah, there we go, look. So completely gone as expected, but we can see where it was. Brick walls there, look, on both sides, and embankment, peak of the embankment is there and there. So it came shooting across, didn't it? Okay, so we've got to pick up the ramp up to the side and meet up with the track bed again. So back along the embankment and the track bed there, but what astonishes me, look at that tree. Look how tall that is. Surely that's on the other side of the track bed and it's not grown on it, but there are quite a few big trees up there. And there we have it, back up top, back on track bed level. So that's where we've just come up from, and the remains of those bridge walls are there. Let's push on. Morley Tunnel was up here. Well, it still is. It's been buried and infilled, so it's quite eerie to know that there's a tunnel down here that we can't get in. Maybe there is a way in it. Some of these tunnels are apparently filled in and all sealed off. Quite often they have ways in, discreet manhole ways, yeah, because they have to inspect these places for subsidence, I suppose, from time to time. That's down here, 235 yards in length. And that would have been the next major thing along this route as we head towards where Benley Viaduct is. So we're on a bit of an incline again, leaving the level of the track bed, because there's a road junction up here and it used to go underneath the A608. We've got Lime Lane up on one side, and I think it's Brookside Road on the other. I might have run with the Brookside one, but I'll put text at the bottom if so. Look at the old bridge just here, look. So we can look over and down to where the track bed was, and it's quite a wide one. I'm trying to see over the edge to see if it's infilled or not. I might be able to spot that. There's quite a lot of traffic around here, so people probably think I'm being a bit weird. But if I can peer around and look down, yeah, there you go, there's the archway, look. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? Complimentary shopping trolley down there, and blue brick all around. And just here is where the trains would have come bursting out of that bridge we've just been stood on. It's all been completely landscaped and buried and filled in at this end, because I think the road was laid or redesigned up the top, so it's now a lot wider. So I think it's in there somewhere, buried, that bridge mouth and opening, as the trains shot down there towards Morley Tunnel and on towards Ilkeston. So now I get to walk through a substantially deep cutting heading towards Morley. We've got the A608 up there, quite high up. There's another path up there I think as well, which will meet up with the track bed further down. But that's quite nice and straight, isn't it? Let's show you it going forwards. Let's see what we're welcome with further down. So quite long and straight, isn't it? Going down there. And pretty much the same going forwards on the approach to where Morley Tunnel was. It's not really going to be much more to show you now, apart from the track bed going forward, I imagine. I think there's maybe a culvert just here. Yeah, there's a brook just there, look. Oh yeah, it's had a concrete section put in, look, as opposed to the original archway, which is just above it. Nice bit of stonework on top, and the same on the other side, I imagine. There we go. Yeah, it's got that concrete pipe again going in, so that's all right. So I think this section now completes the entire route that I've walked between Nottingham, Bentley Viaduct, on towards Morley Tunnel, obviously towards Friargate, and then also the section off towards Hilton, the Mickletoe test track section. So this route has been complete. Now, ironically, this was also the very first railway walk that I ever did. May 2019, 5 years ago. And I came from Ilkeston as far as Morley Tunnel. So what a way to actually finish off doing this than to be back where it all began and finish off, and it's done. The entire thing is done now, isn't it? What a way to end. So this is where I signed off on that very first video. Now there's a bridge down here which I never walked up to, but don't think I can this time either. It's looking rather, yeah, the other side of that little stream. Can you just make out that stonework just there? I think it's farm access. So if I follow that up there, it will take us to the top. Yeah, there it is. Look, so it looks like double arch. Small arch there, the main arch there, and then it looks like a solid wall. So it is gated, farm access. Look, it's not locked, but I'm going to respect it. We're not going through it. But there it is. So that's the top of that bridge going there. It's occupation bridge, isn't it, for the farm? And the main farm buildings are over there. So that's really nice, isn't it? Don't know if you'll be able to see anything down there. Well overgrown and probably flooded. So immediately after that, short bit of cutting, and then Morley Tunnel, 235 yards in length, completely buried at both ends. I think it's more of an abrupt stop of infill at this side, but it's more of a sloping down gradient on the other. Now I have done this video, as I said, it's the very first video I did up until where Morley Tunnel is or was. I'll put a link at the end for that. I did rework it about 3 years ago, made it a bit better because the very first one was a bit rough and untidy. So I'll put a link to the second version for you. And this is where we are at this point. So that is Lime Lane going from top to bottom in the centre, and it crosses over Morley Tunnel. Now the bridge we saw just prior to arriving at Lime Lane is this one here. That one is the occupation bridge, the farm access bridge going above the railway line. And zooming in somewhat, you've got Lime Lane again going from top to bottom, crossing pretty much the centre of Morley Tunnel. That's what it used to look like, but sadly all landscaped and gone. And this image captures it all. There's Morley Tunnel, look, but if you really squint and look through the tunnel, you can see that farm occupation bridge just beyond the tunnel, the one we saw and stood next to before getting to Lime Lane. And this photograph shows a working coming out of it. This is a beautiful one, isn't it? Morley Tunnel, 238 yards, it says on the sign. I can't really show you much now other than the fact that the cutting stops about there. So that's where Morley Tunnel has been landscaped in, and it's completely flat now, look, on top. So that's where the Morley Tunnel would begin, go below Lime Lane, and would have appeared at the other side. So there is Lime Lane, look. Tunnel below there, passes below. Unfortunately, if we go across, the footpath carries on, look, and we should be able to pick up the track bed further down. So we're on a bit of a farm access kind of road, but as you saw, it is a footpath. Track bed is down there somewhere. I think the tunnel probably would emerge somewhere. We can't go through because of that. Ironically, I think I actually did go through that the first time I did this video. I was going to stop and cut off at Morley Tunnel, but I've got time, and I thought, well, it's actually a nice stretch of track bed off towards the next bridge or road, so I'll take you back there and we'll have a look at it together. Okay, so I've took you back on the track bed. Look, there's an old plate layers hut just here, look. That's alright, isn't it? Let's have a bit of a nosy inside. Bit of rack and ruin, isn't it? So Morley Tunnel would have burst out from down there and shot down here and continued on that way. I think we can navigate this track bed again, see where it takes us. It's not really a great deal to see down here, so embankment up, probably about 10 feet high. It's further down on the opposite side. Remnants of ballast here and there. There's some, look. There we go. And the path just generally snakes its way through back towards Morley Tunnel and this way towards Stanley. Some kind of farm access bridge just here, look. Both walls are still present, although missing some coping stones off the top of that one. See if we can poke around the edge without sliding down. Here we go. Oh, there's a mammoth crack in this. Let me get you. That's huge. That's a really big crack. Nice little archway there though, isn't there? I guess we can assume the other side's going to be exactly the same, hopefully with less cracks. Got some wooden planks here, look. Now, not sleepers, but it shows it must have got turned into a permanent path at some point and helps against any potential muddiness. And this photograph shows us just back from where we are now. I believe it's crossing that little bridge that we've just not long looked at, that farm access bridge that goes underneath the railway line, that one with the massive crack on it, and it is heading in the direction of West Alham and on towards Bennerley Viaduct. There we go, look, another plate layers hut. Looks better condition than the other one. Can we get to it though? That's the question. Doorway is completely cut off. Farmland behind, but that's still a nice little find, isn't it? That. Step back a bit so you can get it all. So that's two of them on this stretch since Morley Tunnel. So there used to be a bridge here. This is Morley Lane up here. And the bridge was there, all infilled, probably gone, landscaped. And we can pick up the track bed on the opposite side. That was the other side of it. So Morley Lane just there, bridge completely gone. There we go, we can get down. I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember. It has been 5 years. It looks a bit wet down here, but it looks really picturesque too. I mean, wow, that is a right mess. That is a right mess, but it's absolutely worth it because look, looks like an occupation private access bridge coming into view. Triple arch red brick beauty. Perfect. And this is a beauty, isn't it? There it is. There's that bridge. That is fantastic. I didn't expect to find any photographs of this section of line, but there it is. Let's take a little look at what this bridge looks like today. Ooh, that's completely gone there, hasn't it? Got an old ballast bin just here, look. Luckily I can get around that. Plenty of ballast down still, look. But even better, you can't really see it yet, but there's another bridge coming up. Here we go, look. So this is Common Lane above. It goes down towards Stanley Common. Triple arch again, look. It's clearly been reinforced at some point, look, on the main archway above. The wind's thundering through here as well, so if that's rumbling, I'm really sorry. You may have had a voiceover at this point now. I'll turn you back, look. Looks like they've probably all had some reinforcement, doesn't it? So this walk all the way from the outskirts of Derby, where the Racecourse station was, where the Meteor shopping centre is right now, I've come further than I thought I was going to on this walk and video. But I thought, why not? It's quite picturesque, even if quite muddy at times. So that's my view going forward, and we're almost as far as I really am going to go now. So I hope you've enjoyed this extended walk along the former Great Northern Railway's Derby-Friargate line. We've done it all now. Derby all the way to Hilton, the other side of Derby, the entire route. So thank you very much for watching. I'm going to try and navigate my way off this track bed. This is what I've got to contend with. Look, and get around this tree, hoping to avoid the mud, because I've got to get on a bus after this. I don't want to be mucky and bad up, do I? I'm going to navigate along the edge here, look, because it's just a swamp. But I'm confident I'll get out of here. He says. I'm aiming for, oh, I can just get under that, and under that we'll say goodbye to the track bed for good, and I can make my escape. Thank you very much for joining me on this walk, on this video. We've completed the Great Northern Railway's Derby-Friargate line now, haven't we? All the social medias are popping up at the bottom. I'd love you to follow me on them for latest updates and also suggestions. See you there.